Put on your helmets and buckle your chin straps for the wildest podcast held in the Steel City. Dubs and Chickenhawk will give you a taste of the past in fried jumbo.
Vic went off to work for the Jacksonville Jaguars in '95, and that's when I moved up to sports editor.
At the Standard.
That's the Standard.
I stepped into his. Back then, the Steelers took the beat writers on the plane to away games. So the Standard Observer, they weren't going to pay for me to go, but the Steelers did. It was just protocol. It was the Chiefs. It was what the
Even the
Chiefs.
small town newspapers like that, they took you.
Not all of them, but Vic had forged out a beat. He was an award-winning writer. He was a really good writer.
Yeah.
And Steelers respected him greatly. And you don't get the seat because you're good. It's just he was there at the beginning. And the chief didn't want to change because the old NFL teams had to compete against college ball. College was more popular. So anybody want to come with us? Any of your writers want to come with us? And then everybody started changing that, but the chief wouldn't.
Okay.
So he kept bringing, and so I stepped right into that spot on the plane. It was pretty cool. And I was in a hotel. Yeah, 1995. They went to the Super Bowl the first year. I thought it was me. Me and Mark Bruner and I.
So you weren't even 30. I'm trying to do. You were.
I was 35.
35.
Yeah.
You got to go to the Super Bowl with the team.
I quit drinking at 38. I think some of those plane trips had something to do with it.
Yeah.
So, and I really enjoyed the Steelers beat. I was meeting people, and they were asking me to write for this magazine, do that. Meanwhile, the Irwin Standard Observer didn't replace the body. They moved me up, gave me a few extra bucks. Tribune Review bought us, didn't replace the body, so we were down to 2 guys. And the high school sports needed more help than ever. But I was into this Steelers thing, Who wouldn't be, right?
Right, yeah.
Right.
And I remember people would call. I remember one of the coaches died. Who's one of the old great basketball coaches?
For high school?
Yeah, he led Irwin high. He passed. And I also,
know who you're talking
the track
about.
coach, the great track coach, Harry Hickle passed.
Harry Hickle.
And I didn't write the first guy. Man, I wish I could remember his name. That's how little I knew of him. So I couldn't write a good obituary in the Standard Observer, but the readers wanted it, and they deserved it.
Yeah.
It's what local papers are all about. I don't care about the quarterback of the Steelers, really. It's what we get the Post-Gazette for. So I was shying away from really what should have been my purpose. And I resigned, especially I wanted more money. If you're not going to give me another body, give me more money. And the Tribune Review wouldn't. And so I resigned and doubled my salary as a freelance writer right away.
Yeah, you're raising a family, too, at that point in time.
Well, I didn't have my baby until 1999.
Okay.
Yeah. And so 99
So when you were
comes,
freelance, how does freelance work? You just you're a journalist. You get to go to the things. And you write your own article.
Well, like a paper like Uniontown Herald Standard.
Okay.
They wanted Pittsburgh Steelers news, and before the internet became really cranking, you could send the same story to 3 different newspapers, and they wouldn't care. Yeah, I don't care if it's the same story because the Beaver County Times and the Uniontown Herald Standard aren't going to read each other, right? Mm-hmm. And then it became the internet kind of messed all that up.
Made it smaller.
And the internet, really started knocking some papers out. So
so freelance,
I would
they
write
would pay
magazines.
you. They would pay you basically same thing per article. So you could send an article to different things, and they purchase it.
You paid like 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you sent 2 articles, a feature and a notebook, they want more. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
They'll pay you.
Yeah, they're looking for the content, right, to fill their paper.
Yeah, and so those were the golden years. And then I was writing for Pro Football Weekly, and then I got a job. I still have it. It was called Scout.com at the time. Mm-hmm. They specialize in college football recruiting, but they had pro teams too, and you pay a subscription to join, and you can interact. And I was the first interactive sports writer. Answer all your questions. Now they all do it. right? You're all on Twitter. I mean,
That through that channel, right?
Yeah.
They use it through channel.
and so people wanted to subscribe and be in touch with a writer and all that. And
That's interesting.
in theory, get inside information. And back then, I had a lot of great sources. And back then, Kevin Colbert came in 2000, and he had to wean the scouts off because of the internet. He had to wean the scouts off of telling the reporters inside info, because it's going on the internet and everybody's reading it.
Right. And it's happening overnight.
Well, he had to, and they had old habits, and I had good friends that trusted me. And I remember Dan Rooney, the 2000 draft. We couldn't figure out who they were going to pick, Chad Pennington or Plexico Burress, with like the 8th pick of the draft.
Chad Pennington.
And I forget, I might have settled on Burress. Maybe I was right. I don't know. And I remember going back to the front office on draft day to get my coffee at the beginning of the day, or after the Steelers had drafted. So I don't know where it was in the day. But Dan Rooney was getting a coffee too. Oh, hi, Jim. He was the friendliest guy. He was so cool.
Yeah, he was.
He goes, "Hi, Jim. How'd your coverage go with that first pick?" I said, "Yeah, I wasn't sure who you guys were going to pick, Pennington or Burress." And he goes, "All you had to do was ask." Even Dan needed weaned on the internet is coming. Kevin Colbert's trying to tell them all, stop telling everybody who we're taking. And so those were the golden years until Kevin got everybody straight about 4 years later.
Yeah.
And they drafted Roethlisberger. But in 2004, I got a call from somebody that wanted a book they're now Triumph Publishing. I still write for them. They wanted a book called Tales from Behind the Steel Curtain. Every city, they had tales from behind whatever. And, in theory, you tell these little stories that nobody knew. And so the 79 Steelers were celebrating their 25th anniversary. So they wanted Tales from Behind the 79 Steelers. And so I only had, they got me late to agree. I was nobody to them, and a bunch of people had turned them down. So they turned to me, and I'm 3 months? Yeah, I could do it. And I did it, and I liked how it turned out. And somebody gave me Jack Lambert's number and said, "Don't tell him where you got this number from. He's probably not going to call you back anyway." So I tried them all, and I got a lot of people, but Jack Lambert didn't call back. But everybody told me the coolest Jack Lambert stories. Yeah. And I found, and of course, he was such a fun character for all of us.
Everybody, right?
He's the great, what do they call it, the great white whale.
Yeah.
I thought him and Polamalu were the two most mysterious athletes in Pittsburgh history. And I did the book on Polamalu. I still want Lambert. So I got as many Jack Lambert stories as I could, and there's a lot of cool ones. How he would get, they called them the Chobe parties, because they had a bunch of defensive backs from Lake Okeechobee area down in the muck, down in Florida.
Central Florida, yeah.
And Glenn Edwards was one of them. And so they called them Chobe parties, where they'd have the young players come over to Lambert's house, and they'd get them so drunk. and Lambert would come in the next day smoking a cigarette at his locker, watching the Chobies come in one by one with horrible hangovers, right? And Lambert, and people would tell me, Rocky Blyer, he loved telling Lambert stories. And I had all these cool Lambert stories. It was the start of the book. So the next year, I get a call from the same publishing house. They want Men of Steel, a book on where are they now? And you have to talk to them. Where are they now? What are they doing? Only 1,500 words per chapter. So I again called Lambert, no call back. And later that night, about an hour later, the phone rings. "This is Jack Lambert." I go, "Wow, I didn't think you'd call me back. I don't normally call people like you back, but I read your first book, and it was the best Steeler book I ever read. How can I help you?"
Wow, that has to be awesome for you, man.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so we talk about where are they now? What is he doing? And he had 4 kids in college at the same time. And he complained, and everybody thinks I'm rich. You try paying for 4 kids in college at the same time. I don't make the money they do today. I say, "Hey, Jack, let's do a book." "No, books are only for great people." Like, and he named like 4 Republican presidents, Yeah. Books are only for Teddy Roosevelt and Ronald Reagan and great people. And so I'm like, okay, Jack, well, I only have 1,500 words to write, and this is good. And he's like, what, you going to hang up on me? He goes, this interview's done already? You finally get me, and this is it? I'm like, okay, well, tell me about the Raiders. Oh, the fucking Raiders.
Really?
Excuse my language.
Yeah,
but,
that's all right.
So he goes off and on, and I got my tape recorder running, just goes off on the Raiders. I'm like, oh, that's really cool stuff, Jack. Thanks a lot. He goes, what, you wrapping it up now? Tell me about the Browns. Oh, the fucking Browns. Oh, let me tell you about the Browns. And so that was it. And I'm like, okay, Jack, this is more than I can ever use. I'll send you a copy of the book. And he goes, all right. And he hangs up. And I went through the tape the next day, and there was something I should have asked him about. I heard a cool story about something. I called him back. They didn't call me back. No more. That was it. You had your chance, pal. And so I write the book. I send it to him, and I said, hey, and we should, whenever you want to write a book, let's do that. And so he sends me a letter back about a month later. He goes, well, it's New Year's Eve. I'm at my friend's party. I'm downstairs. I just opened up a Michelob Light and lit up a Tarrington and thought it would be a good time to write you back. His friend's New Year's Eve party.
He's sitting there writing the thing.
He was a man of letters. I remember him and Vic. They said he's well read. I mean, for all her gruff exterior and the biker image, that
I bet him and Noel got along pretty well then.
Well,
pretty heady man.
Jack is the core of all that is right. After the Cliff Harris thing, why did he throw Cliff Harris on the ground?
Wow. He slammed him.
Chuck Noll said, Jack represents everything that is right and justice or something like that.
Oh.
He does, though. That guy was something special.
Oh.
Well, he got into a bar fight with a mob guy, busted a bottle over his head.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And if you remember, Jack didn't come back for a trial. It was related to that. We found out a couple years later. So I tried to get that mobster who was in jail or had been arrested.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to the jail to interview this guy. There was a hit put out on Jack Lambert's Achilles tendon. I'm going to slice it. That was a mob hit. Yeah. So Jack didn't come back for the trial. And everybody says, you're big in Law and Order. And he never explained that. And I got the name. And I heard the name just a couple years ago. It was my girlfriend's daughter's husband. I'm like, where do I know that name from? I know. Jack Lambert got into a bar fight with, he goes, oh yeah, that's my great uncle. He goes, I said, I've been looking for him. I want to interview him. And he goes, well, the only guy who knew where he was is now dead. So you're out of luck.
So Jack hit this guy with a bottle?
In a bar fight, didn't know he was mobbed up. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I kind of touched on some of that in the book. But
And that was
that's Jack doesn't want to do the book. I don't know if that's part of the reason. I know Troy didn't want to do the book because Troy can't lie. And there are probably some things in Troy's life, like his father leaving him the day he was born for his other family. And Troy does not want to lie about him. He doesn't lie. And he also doesn't want to talk bad.
Doesn't want to talk about it.
So
right.
There are other things in Troy's family that he doesn't probably want to get into. But he sent everybody my way, and the book, I think the book turned out better. Troy would have just been too humble for all these cool stories. But anyway, Lambert, I called him back about 3-4 years ago and left message. He calls me back. Oh, because the Steelers had called me about 7 years ago and said, hey, we just gave your address to Jack Lambert. I go, yeah, what do you want? I don't know. His wife called, asked for your address, and we figured we'd let you know. We gave him, I'm waiting for stuff to come in the mail. What is this about? Does he want to do that book? Nothing.
you got to try to run him down.
So a few years later, I call him. Next day, he calls me back. What do you want?
He was a badass, a walking badass.
I go, I want to do that book. He goes, didn't we talk about this? I go, yeah, 15 years ago. He goes, well, I still don't want to do it. He goes, but I'll tell you what, if I do decide to do a book, you're my guy. Is that good enough for you? I go, for now. And he goes, what would you call it? And I said, Jim O'Brien did a book called Linebackers. Lambert. Had a big picture of Lambert on it. Lambert in small print and the other linebackers. And Lambert just didn't like him.
Yeah.
And Jim used to write books like Me and Rocky, Me and Franco, and the books would be about our friendship.
Yeah.
Jim, he sold a lot of books. He's forged a path for me. I owe him a lot. Always been a good guy to me, but that's not my style. For me to pretend I'm friends with one of these guys, I thought I was close to Polamalu, but I never inferred that we were friends or never would say me and Troy.
Mm-hmm.
So Lambert said, what would you call this book? I said, Me and Jack. And he's like, oh, Jim O'Brien, huh? He knew right away. I laughed. And he kind of liked some of my humor. I had like five titles. Some of them were pretty good. I'm still ready for them. I got a whole list of questions. If he one day says, all right. You got an hour.
It'd be really cool if he did.
I know.
I mean, I know it's been a long time that he's played, but when you say legend, he even takes on a character of just, it's beyond that. You know what I mean?
He's the great white whale of us journalists.
Even young kids know about him now. Like my son, who he's 23, he knows who Lambert is because he saw the pictures, and he's just that.
Yeah.
The image and everything about it. It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
He still live up North Katanning somewhere, doesn't he? Live up that way? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do they make money off those books, or maybe he could
they make money off of his books?
If he did a book.
If I did a book,
yeah,
I would make money.
Would he?
We could talk.
Right. That if
yeah,
that's how that works.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So anyway, he goes, how do you see this going down? Did you guys ever see the movie Cobb?
Yeah.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, did you ever see the movie Cobb? He goes, oh, Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah. Oh, he was so good.
He is so
I said, well, I'm Robert Whirl. Do you remember Robert Whirl's character? He was the biographer that wanted to go get Ty Cobb's life story, drove up to his mansion, and would get abused the whole time. And the final scene is Ty Cobb, old man, chasing him down the road in a blizzard, trying to run him off the cliff.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'd be Robert Whirl. And Lambert goes, wow, that's exactly how it would be.
It'd be a life and death experience for you.
Yeah.
So I think he liked the fact that I'm ready for it. I'm ready to be abused if need be. Yeah. This is the great white whale.
Yeah. So if you see this, Jack, by the grace of God, call Jim and get this thing done, because everyone wants to know about his background. I know he went to Kent State and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know a damn thing about that guy.
He was a cornerback in high school.
A what?
A corner.
Oh, really?
And he couldn't get recruited anywhere. And his high school coach called on a favor at Kent State.
Yeah.
Come on, man. He's like, all right.
He was so undersized. I mean, he was a big guy, 6'3", 4", but he was so thin.
Had like 200 tackles his junior year of college.
Yeah.
Well, in my
shoulder pads.
He tackled everything. Every play.
I still find stories, and one Art Rooney Jr. I think told me this story. There's the famous story about him diving into gravel in a parking lot at Kent State. Art Rooney Jr. tells the story of, when they went up to scout him the second time, rain rolled in and they moved the practice to the gravel parking lot. And Lambert dove, and they said it wasn't just the diving in the gravel and stones, but it was him calmly and coolly picking stones out of his knee and his skin the rest of the practice. He was in shorts. And but they had, the first time, they went to scout a sprinter up there. And Tim Rooney was a scout who, before he went on to the Giants, he became a front office guru with the Giants. A guy named Tim Rooney heard a story about Lambert, the quarterback at Kent State. Kent State was going for its first bowl game in history. They had to win the MAC. And the week before the MAC big showdown, I forget who they were playing. If they would win that game, then they'd go to a bowl. And Lambert was the defensive captain. It was his junior year, and he had the 200 tackles. And the quarterback, the coach said, you're suspended, but we can undo that suspension if you do these bear crawls for hundreds of yards. This grueling
for Lambert
regimen. No, the quarterback.
Oh, okay.
At Kent State. The quarterback said, "No, I'll stick with my suspension. I'm not doing that." And Lambert said, "Look, you're not doing that.
Yeah,
I'll do it with you. We're going to get this done."
Mm-hmm.
And it said, Lambert had to carry him half the time. And Lambert, they get done and they're laying in the end zone, and the kid's puking, and Lambert puked, and Lambert said, "I'm still going to kick your ass." I forget the exact specifics of this story, but something like that.
Yeah.
And the quarterback was off suspension. They won the MAC title. They went to play. The bowl game was against Tampa. Earl Bruce, before he went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
They said Tampa was on its way. They had Matuzak.
No way, Big John.
Matuzak. And there was an offensive start,
did play
too.
Tampa, now that you say that. I remember
They
that.
said Tampa was on its way to being what the Miami Hurricanes became.
Yeah.
Just owning that rich Florida recruiting base because of some kind of academic rulings that were passed down that opened them up. And then the school said no. And then Miami became that school.
They took the spot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Tampa beat Kent State in that bowl game. So that's my Jack Lambert stuff.
Everybody likes Jack Lambert.
Oh, he's amazing. Hopefully you'll get that book someday.
Yeah,
well,
that'd be nice.
Tell us about your latest one. You have another one coming up with Craig,
Right.
who just passed,
Right.
which was a total and utter shock.
Right.
He had cancer, I guess, right? And he got diagnosed late. It was late.
It was 20 days from the diagnosis till his
passing. Yeah. That's a tough one, man. That guy.
It was tough.
Such
It
a
was tough.
lovely human being. Him and Twin Chokin, they're just so special.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You knew Craig well, I'm sure. Yeah.
Craig wrote for me in my site for 20 years at least. Craig and I were very close.
Yeah.
And the same Triumph Publishing now, they called me to do a book to ghostwrite an athlete who's gotten into hopefully announcing or some capacity where his career could go from player to, span 40 years like Wolf's did. I said, Craig Wolfley. I said, he can write too. They go, oh, okay. Well, they wanted me to be the ghostwriter, and Craig was the athlete. That's how they normally do it in every city. It's called If These Walls Could Talk. Mm-hmm. And they said, you got to use our title, but we'll pretty much run what Craig wants and what you want to write. And Craig started sending me chapters during the season. I usually wait till the season's over, and then 2 months, I got it. How
in the hell do you write something in 2 months like that? That's crazy.
Until the pressure's on.
Yeah,
you can't
that's,
get down.
Most creative
what's
people are like that. They need that pressure.
What's the word when you take it to the last minute?
Procrastination.
Yeah. It's not a good thing to be, but I am. So
the fear factor.
Yeah.
Most creative people are like that. And not only that, while you're waiting, you think you're not writing, but you're developing thoughts and angles and textures and everything else.
Mental work. Mental work.
Yeah.
So I sit through the season. I told Craig, I said, take every other week off from writing for my site, write a chapter. He never said how much he was doing. I didn't know how much he was doing. He said, January comes along. March 10th was our deadline, which is the day Craig died.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So
that is so sad.
It was about January 10th. I said, Wolf, we got to get going on this. I got to interview you. I got to write some stuff. I knew he could write, so I wouldn't have to do the whole thing. And he said, didn't you get those chapters I sent you? And I looked, oh my God, 15 chapters. I should read through it. So we had a conference call with Triumph Publishing, us three. I said, hey, I got to tell you, I know you guys think I'm ghostwriting, but this is the easiest money I ever made. I don't think I should get half. And Craig piped up, oh, yeah, Wex, you're getting half. He really liked me as his editor. Not that he needed
much.
He could write. And I said, okay. And then he sent me 15 more chapters. They wanted 70,000 words. I cut 15% down. It was 64,000 words. And I said, Craig, we need a couple more chapters, and we got to get somebody, we get pictures. We got to get March 10th coming. He goes, you know what? I'm not feeling good right now. And then he didn't respond. And then his wife responded and said, we're getting Craig checked. Something in his abdomen, his gallbladder or something. And then they found out it was cancer. And we had 64,000 words done. And they called and said, hey, we're going to put that book off till next year. We've had some cuts in the company. We've had to lay off some editors. We think your book can do just as well in 2 years. It's timeless. Craig will have his job still. I said, well, he's sick right now. He's not going to like this news. And I just got over some cancer, and I'm recovering. And they go, well, sorry, there's nothing I can do. And then Craig passed. And I called. I said, hey, Craig passed. And they go, wow, sorry. I said, yeah. And they had an emergency meeting, and now they want the book to come out. Oh. They had already paid us some.
I see.
And a book from a deceased author 2 years later is very awkward. You can imagine. So they moved it back up, and Craig's widow, Faith, it's now become a precious
endeavor.
It's hard.
It is hard. That guy is special.
Faith is so strong, his widow. And Ronnie, Ronnie played fullback at West Virginia and with the Arizona Cardinals.
Right, he was on the Cardinals, yeah.
I met Ronnie at the funeral. You talk about, I thought I was talking to Craig.
And Amir.
Yeah. The idiosyncrasies, the voice. And I thought I was going to break up. I couldn't talk to him very long. And then I talked to his son, Kyle, who was a great chapter in the book about Kyle. I said, Kyle, maybe you could help. I knew I had business that I didn't want to talk about at the funeral home, but I did want to say, hey, they want to proceed with this. Let me talk to you next week. They all came to me and said, and Craig's mom introduced me to some people, and so now we've got Ronnie Wolfley writing the foreword, Faith writing the acknowledgments, CJ writing some special chapters of lists that he's going through Craig's stuff. Craig Wolfley's favorite foods. I mean, we all need to know that.
I do need to know.
Craig Wolfley's favorite opponents.
Was it fried jumbo by any chance?
Yeah.
Would it be fried jumbo?
It should be fried jumbo. I bet it was. I bet he had some fried jumbo.
Oh, he's the type of guy who had fried
And
jumbo.
so it's really turning into a special project, and they're giving us a little time, and they're going to fast track it. It'll be out in the fall. I have to write the introduction from an alleged ghostwriter who's going to take care of the athlete.
Wow.
Someone's taking care of me.
It's amazing that he was able to write all that so quickly.
I don't know how much he had done in his archives, things like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I probably had it sitting maybe, but such a special guy. We claim him as a Pittsburgher, but Buffalo guy, right? Is he?
Well, I lived in Buffalo too. Lancaster, where I grew up, is a suburb of Buffalo, but near Orchard Park.
Right. That's where they play football.
And I talked to Ronnie on the phone again because Ronnie's going to write the foreword. Ronnie is closer to my age. And I told him, I'm from Lancaster, man. After Fort Wayne, we moved to Buffalo.
Okay.
And I lived there from 8 years old to 13.
Okay.
And those how golden those years are.
Those years are great.
That's when you're a great athlete, right?
Yeah.
It's
the best.
Yeah. And you're good at everything, and people tell you got a great future and you haven't screwed yourself up, right? And so those are some golden years. And so every time Craig talked about Buffalo, we were there at the same time.
Yeah, you knew it, yeah.
And we were in Pittsburgh. And the funny thing was, Tunch was born in Chicago. And so he was in Chicago when I was in Chicago as toddlers, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I
love those guys.
He was about your age, Wolf was?
Wolf
a little
graduated, I think, in 77.
Okay.
I graduated in 79. Ronnie graduated in 81.
Okay.
right in there.
Yeah,
with both
right.
of them.
Oh, yeah, right in the wheelhouse, Tommy.
And, they just lost another brother a year and a half ago, Dale. If you remember Dale Wolfley from WVU. He married Ray Mansfield's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and they have one of their sons is Maverick Ranger.
Wow.
You remember Maverick was in camp a couple years ago as a long snapper.
Long snapper.
Yeah. Maverick Ranger Wolfley.
Neat.
I know from the gym because I see, you and I are gym buddies, and you had a situation with a diagnosis with your throat. So I wanted to ask you how you're feeling now because you haven't been there in a couple months. You're just starting your way back. You look good, but maybe tell everyone and share a little bit about what you've been going through.
Well, it's head and neck cancer. It's just kind of prevalent now. It's the HPV, human papillomavirus. And they say 80% of the population has it, and they don't know why it becomes cancer on some people. And it gets in your throat, head and neck, and there's no surgery, and it's 90% curable. The 90% from the doctor. Right. And I've been told if a doctor says 90%, and it's close to 100%. So it wasn't scary in that regard. Just the treatment, the radiation on your throat, your tongue, your mouth, nose. You could tell I've had a hanky this whole thing. The phlegm that's come up during this hour and a half now. It's difficult to escape, but I'm getting better. My taste is just coming back, and I'm 9 weeks after the radiation, and I've persevered through the exercise, and just, I don't know why I would be an inspiration. I'm just
getting through life.
You just keep going. You know, you don't. You do what they say, and you go.
So how long from diagnosis till they started radiation treatments for you?
Pretty quick, because it took us so long to find what was wrong.
Okay, were you having a hard time swallowing, or did you have a tumor?
It was a
in there?
little. It was like last February.
Okay.
13 months ago.
Right.
I could feel something, and I would tell my doctor, "There's something. It's not really hindering anything, but there's something there that's not right.
Doesn't feel right."
And so, I'd go to the throat guy, and there's nothing here. Put a camera down there, nothing here, but you got some lymph nodes that are large. You better go to the chest guy. All right, go to the chest guy. He said, your lungs are good. They're taking a CAT scan. Your lungs are good. Maybe it's GERD, the acid reflux. But your lymph node's large. It could be scarring. I had sarcoidosis. And it could be scarring from sarcoidosis years ago. All right, well, take the CAT scan. No. But, by then the pain started coming through my jaw, into my ear, and up to here. And someone close to me had brain tumors, really horrible. And I didn't know if my mind was playing tricks on me. And so I went to the, what would be a neurologist. I went to a neurologist, took an MRI and an MRA. I said, no, nothing there. I've had scanned everything. Checking out good. Your carotid has a little bit of this. You got a little bit of this in the lungs. So we know where we stand on every body part right now because we were searching, right?
Right.
Okay, so a lot of that's good news, right? And she said, you don't have anything in your head, but there's a thickening in the back of your throat by your tonsils. We're going to send you back to the throat guy. I said, man, I started with the throat guy.
Yeah.
We go back to the throat guy. I said, it's kind of moved up. It's I don't know if it's gotten bigger. And he open up and say, ah. And I'm looking at him in the eyes, and he's like, I'm like, oh, man, don't do that. He goes, well, that wasn't there the last time. So there was a tumor back there where my tonsil was. And then they took a biopsy, and, you're scared of throat cancer. The babe and Myra Cope died of throat cancer, and it was not pretty. So when the biopsy came back, he says, you have head and neck cancer from HPV. There won't be surgery, but there will be radiation and chemo. And I'm like, oh, man. He goes, but it's not throat cancer. Okay, well, it's cancer, and you said radiation and chemo. He goes, Jim, this is good news. I'm like, oh, if you say so.
Yeah.
He goes, no, we'll get this. It's going to be hard, but and I lost a bunch of weight. I lost 20 pounds, and they thought I did a good job. Protein,
Drinking
the shakes. And, I put ghee in my coffee for all the intermittent fasting I had done. About my whole game from being at the gym, because I had lost like 20 pounds before this. So that's kind of why I'm dressed up with the collar. I done got skinny and old real quick. So
he'll be right back. I know how hard you work. He was doing 100 squats a day before this, or not a day.
100 squats a
set. A set.
25 pounds on each side.
It was ridiculous.
Well,
so he's a hard worker, so I'm sure he'll get it.
I'm not looking to add.
No, you
that
were just
thick kind of muscle. But I'll cardio if I can involve cardio and legs and core. All of that. It's all so good. 100, But I was done. I was done in 5 minutes.
Yeah. But the good news for you is you had done all that before you got this diagnosis. So you're going to bounce back much quicker than other people.
That's what people tell me.
Yeah. You will. Quicker than other people.
Tell me.
Yeah. You will. Okay. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Yeah,
See you at the gym,
I'm glad
Chris.
you're feeling better.
Yeah.